this placement has a lot more to do than just your remuneration, just your livelihood, just your nutrition, and what kind of money you have in the bank. Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro. We have been doing this series of house lords in different houses in the Navamsa, house lords in different signs in the Navamsa. We have also been doing this series of house lords of the D1 chart of your Lagna chart in different houses in the Navamsa. But we are also doing a series of house lords of the D1 chart, the Lagna chart, what kind of results they give, they accrue when placed in different signs in the D9 chart, in the Navamsa chart. Because remember, the Navamsa chart, as I have said many times, is the chart of higher probabilities. What is almost given to you, what has higher probability of coming true, rather than you having to put superlative effort to be able to gain that. So, because the Navamsa, the D9 chart is the finest dissemination of what are the probabilities in your life, so it's important to see how different house lords of the D1 chart in the finest dissemination when placed in the Navamsa in the D9 chart are accruing different results for us. So, let's jump in and see how the placement of the second house lord of the D1 chart of the Lagna chart when placed in the different signs in the Navamsa, what kind of results, what kind of probabilities it will throw up for us. Now, if the second house lord is in the sign of Aries in your Navamsa chart, in your D9 chart, so the way we should look at it is not only the placement of the second house lord in what sign it is in the D9 chart, but we should also be looking at its placement in lieu of where it is placed in your D1 chart. So, for example, when the second house lord goes into the Aries sign in the Navamsa, in the D9 chart, first thing it throws up in its finest dissemination is that this person may have to struggle for his or her livelihood, will have to put a lot of energy to be able to get a higher nutrition, to be able to get his or her remuneration, to be able to get his or her livelihood or money in the bank. Second, the person should have a problem solving approach in his or her life. Without having an approach of problem solving, without having an approach of goal getting, goal setting or meeting targets, the person may not be able to achieve a higher remuneration, higher results. However, it should also be seen in light of where the D1 chart is placed, or the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed, in the which sign it is placed in the D1 chart or which house. So, say for example, if the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in the 5th house in the D1 chart, so here it is giving up the probability that the person may earn through a career related to artistic ability or ability to be able to present himself or herself in front of people or persuading people or presenting. But because it is in the sign of Aries, which means the person may have to present himself in front of people in his or her role in his career, but in a problem solving approach, in a solution oriented approach, because in the D9 chart, the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in the Aries sign. So, only when you see the results in combination, you will know how the results may accrue. But what is most important is without struggling, without having a problem solving approach, without having a target oriented approach, without having a goal getting approach, the person may not be able to get a higher remuneration in something what he likes to do, what he loves to do, just because of the placement of the second house lord in the D1 chart in the 5th house. So, in combination, try and see the results of the second house lord placed in the Aries sign in the Navamsa chart in the D9 chart. Now, when the second house lord goes into the sign of Taurus in the D9 chart, in the Navamsa chart, what is the Taurus sign all about? The Taurus sign, especially in the Navamsa chart, is a very strong combination or a placement or almost a promise from the zodiac that this is a placement of making money, of higher remuneration. But it is also a sign, the Taurus sign is also a sign of nutrition which you are creating for others rather than only for self. Many people who are born in the Taurus ascendant sometimes forget that their responsibility is not only to earn for themselves or to provide a nutrition for self, but also for others. And usually the second house lord, when it goes into the Taurus sign in the Navamsa, this person will see that this person will have to take care of somebody or the other almost throughout his or her life, at least till very late in his or her life. I've seen many people, they are in the late 70s, yet they're taking care of some responsibilities. Sometimes it may be through in means of materials, resources that they share with people, maybe money, maybe property rent, but also in terms of business related advice or advice which may fetch money for others also, or they are directly or indirectly providing nutrition to others or helping others. So this is a very strong placement that you may continue to earn for a long time in your career, in your life, but also a placement that you provide nutrition to others. If you are helping others, if you are providing nutrition to others and in a very principle oriented approach, then the zodiac gives you a higher promise that the remuneration may be high till very late in life. However, also see in light of where the second house lord is placed in which house in the D1 chart, and then that gets related to the second house lord being placed in the Taurus sign, in the Navamsa, in the D9 chart. Now, if the second house lord in the Navamsa is in the Gemini sign, so this is the placement where the zodiac is telling you whichever area of life you have to work in, whichever career you will take up by virtue of the second house lord's placement in the D1 chart, in that remuneration results or in that remuneration activity or in that activity of trying to get resources or success, you will have to ensure that you will have to work on your communication skills, your ability to be able to influence people, to be able to reach out to people. Second house is the house of remuneration, nutrition, and the Gemini sign is the sign of communication, marketing, branding. So without blowing your own trumpet, without talking about yourself, of course, marketing also means you may probably be marketing somebody else's resources, somebody else's services, somebody else's products, maybe your own also. However, without also beating your own drums, you may not be able to get higher success. So work on your communication ability, work on your ability to be able to reach out to others, brand yourself very strongly, and also have a streak of doing something on your own or also making something more on the side. I have seen many people with the second house lord in the Gemini sign, second house lord of the D1 chart placed in the Gemini sign in the D9 chart. Many times these people also have some money on the side that they make, or they may make some commissions, or they may get some benefits from the job apart from just earning money or earning their salary. So there may also be incentives that they get on the side from time to time. So if you have the second house lord in the Gemini sign in the Navamsa chart, work on your communication skills, work on your ability to influence others, work on your social skills, work on your ability to be able to form connections with others, because that in the long run may be able to get you higher remuneration, higher livelihood in the direction of where the second house lord is placed in the D1 chart. Now, if the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in the Cancer sign in the D9 chart in the Navamsa chart, so here the zodiac is telling you that in terms of your remuneration, in terms of your livelihood, in terms of your nutrition, in terms of what money you get and you are able to keep or afford to keep in the bag, what your savings are, all are related to the Cancer sign, or the finest dissemination of your money. Your remuneration is connected to your ability to take care of others, to empathize with others, to support others, to stand by others. If you are able to do that in whatever role that you are playing, based on where your second house lord is placed in which house in the D1 chart, connected to that work, connected to that responsibility, you will have to be more caring, you will have to be more empathetic, you will have to be somebody who is more supportive. Only then you may be able to get more results. It is like this: if the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in the 9th house of the D1 chart but gets into the Cancer sign in the Navamsa, this means that you may have a career related to education, higher education, higher qualification also. However, in that role, you will have to be more supportive, more empathetic, and also more understanding of your students or your fellow colleagues or your fellow teachers or your fellow professors. Only then will you be able to establish a better name for yourself, and you will also be able to get a higher remuneration, higher incentives as well. So without having a caring streak empathetic streak, understanding streak in your career, in your work, in your business, you may not be able to get the higher results of where the second house lord is placed in the D1 chart when it gets placed in the Cancer sign in the Navamsa chart. Now when the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in the Leo sign in the D9 chart. So this is a placement where the zodiac is telling you whatever role that you are going to play in your life, in your career, in terms of your efforts to get remuneration, in terms of your ability or your efforts or your actions to get higher livelihood, or trying to get more money, savings in the bank, there you will have to take responsibility for self. Nobody is going to help you, and responsibility is also for trying to save more money. If you are able to save more money, then the money will grow. Now many times this is also placement where the expenses are such, the challenge for you is that in spite of your higher expenses, how you are able to put some money away in your savings. If you are able to do that, then the zodiac promises you that you may be able to get higher remuneration, higher success in your efforts to get higher money, higher livelihood also. But that should also get connected to where your second house lord is placed in which house in the D1 chart. If in your D1 chart the second house lord, for example, is placed in the 12th house, then in terms of your ability to work away from your native place, away from where your birth places, or in a role where you are an individual or working in solitude or in foreign land, in that role you will have to take more responsibility and take the lead to be able to earn your remuneration and stand up even for others. Leadership not only for yourself but leadership also for others, and in an empathetic manner, in a responsible manner. Then you will be able to get a higher remuneration in foreign lands also, where you take the lead to get your remuneration rather than depending on others. Now if the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Virgo sign in the Navamsa in the D9 chart, what does this mean? This means that the zodiac is telling you that the higher probability for you to be able to get your remuneration, your higher earning, your livelihood, or your ability to save money in the bank will come through your mindset, your character, your personality, that of a person who wants to serve, who wants to help others, who wants to support others. Maybe in the finest dissemination you will also have a healing touch to whatever role you are playing. So whatever role you are playing, you may have a healing touch. For example, if your second house lord is placed in the 6th house in your D9 chart and goes into the Virgo sign in the D9 chart, in the Navamsa chart, while it is placed in the 6th house in the D1 chart, it means that you may be a doctor and then you have a healing touch. Or if your second house lord is in the 6th house in the D1 chart, it could also mean that you are a lawyer. But on the other hand, you are also somebody who has a healing touch to your clients. You are not just trying to get money from them, you are not trying to lie your way through to get more money, but you also have a healing, problem solving approach to your clients. You also have the empathetic service orientation that I have to serve, not just to earn money. Only when you do that, you will be able to get a higher remuneration. When the second house lord gets into the Virgo sign in the D9 chart, while it is placed in whichever house, you need to be able to get connected to, in that role, how you are able to have a service oriented mindset, almost a servant oriented mindset, to be able to get higher remuneration, a healing approach that the zodiac wants you to play. Now if the second house lord gets into the Libra sign in the D9 chart, in the Navamsa chart, this means that the zodiac is giving you a higher probability that in your role to get higher remuneration, to earn higher money, wherever your livelihood is coming from, and from where resources you will be able to save more money, get more money in the bank. It will all be based on your ability to form relationships, connections, acquaintances, and a balance. The challenge sometimes is you may think that you are more balanced in your approach, but you may end up doing more, because in its finest dissemination in the D9 chart, you have almost not much control over how the personality will accrue, how it will function. And so, because in the finest dissemination, your second house lord is in the Libra sign, the zodiac says only through relationship and your ability to form relationships and balance in the relationship, you will be able to earn a better remuneration and to be able to also earn a higher livelihood and also get higher nutrition for others. And it is in Libra, which means you will have to also take responsibility to provide nutrition for others. Now you need to connect it to whichever house second house lord is placed in the D1 chart. If the second house lord, for example, is placed in the third house in the D1 chart and now gone into the Libra sign in the D9 chart, it means in your ability to communicate, in your ability to market, in your ability to be able to reach out to people, in maybe even in a social media approach, your focus should be on relationships. Your focus should be on balance. Only then you will be able to earn more money. Otherwise, in your marketing ability, in your ability wanting to influence others, if you don't keep track that the relationship is important, the balance is important between what is the results for you and the result for others, if the focus is only on self, not in the relationship, not in a balanced manner, then the remuneration may not be as fruitful for you, efforts may not be as fruitful. Now, if the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Scorpio sign in the D9 chart, yeah, this is a slightly tricky placement where the zodiac is telling you that in its finest dissemination, in your effort to make more money, in your effort to get higher remuneration, there may be some ups and downs. There may be sudden situations which you have not thought about. Sudden events may come up, certain situations may come up where suddenly your remuneration may not be as it is as it was. So this is a placement where there is stability in your earnings, there is stability in how you are earning your remuneration, but suddenly some situation comes connected to work or maybe even in life, because of which you have to take a decision, you have to solve a problem, and because of that, this situation you may have to forego maybe one role of yours or one job of yours or career of yours, or maybe change it, because of which there is a sudden U-turn you may need to take. You may need to take a different direction to either continue to earn your remuneration in the same manner, livelihood in the same manner, or in a different tangent, in a different direction, maybe even either a sudden urge or sudden splurge in getting a higher remuneration, or even compromising on how you are able to get money from now onwards. So there is some sudden thing which every now and then happens. Career decisions also many times it may happen. You have to take a sudden decision because of which you are moving in a certain trajectory, in a certain role or a different role or a different organization, and most of these may not be very well planned. These may be which come to you. You may plan a little bit, but what is the final result is not in your hands. And connect that to where the second house lord is placed in your D1 chart. Say for example, if your second house lord is placed in the 10th house in your D1 chart, now gone in the Scorpio sign in the D9 chart, so it is almost a given that in your career you may not only have ups and downs in terms of your remuneration in your livelihood, but also your relationship with your supervisors. Your ability to be able to connect with superiors at work may not be as good, or there may be challenges. There will be at least one or two bosses in your life who may trouble you, or your immediate bosses may not trouble you, but a higher boss or higher superior in some other department may be somebody who throws higher challenges at you, and you don't know how to be able to take care of yourself in that situation. So there will always be some challenge at work, maybe with some higher up because of this placement, and there may be sudden ups and downs which you may have to also take care of because of the second house placed in the Scorpio sign in the D9 chart from time to time. Now, if the second house lord of the D1 chart gets placed in the Sagittarius sign in the D9 chart, in the Navamsa chart, what does this mean? It means that the zodiac is telling you that in your finest dissemination, in your ability to earn your higher nutrition, in your ability to earn a higher livelihood, you will have to take care of your ability to whether you are able to learn from your experiences, your ability to learn from situations. If you have not learned from the situations, if you have not learned from the experiences that the zodiac has taken you from time to time, then you may not be able to either grow your remuneration or earn your livelihood, or not have a stability in that, sometimes even not grow that. So without keeping your eyes open, without keeping your ears to the ground, without knowing what's happening around you in your work, knowing and also knowing what the grapevine is about, not knowing what the situation is, not ready to learn from the situation, or not ready to learn from the environment around you, the situation around you, the political situation around you may be at work. Without knowing, without being able to contend with that, you may not be able to grow. Now connect that placement of the second house lord in the Sagittarius sign in the D9 chart, wherever the second house lord is placed in your D1 chart, in your Lagna chart. So if second house lord, say for example, is placed in the Lagna, in the D1 chart, in the Lagna chart, and now gone into the Sagittarius sign in the D9 chart, this means that throughout your life you will have some or the other situation which you have to learn from, and through that you will also be able to get your higher remuneration, higher nutrition. Also you will have to learn to be able to take care of others, not only through your nutrition but also goal setting. Your goals should also involve others, some dependents, some family members, and this sometimes will happen throughout your life when there may be no respite. So learning is very important and connected to earning, sometimes in different areas of your life that you continue to learn. It's not only that your learning or your earning is connected to learning, only connected to your career or getting higher qualification. It may also mean that if you don't learn how to take care of your emotions connected to your domestic life, then you may not be able to focus yourself well at work, and through that you may not be able to get a higher remuneration. So you will have to learn from time to time, you will have to contend with different kind of situations and then become a richer person in terms of wisdom to be able to earn a higher remuneration when the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Sagittarius sign in the D9 chart, in the Navamsa chart. Now when the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Capricorn sign in the D9 chart, this is on paper this is a very good placement. Why? The second house lord has gone 9 places from itself, because the Capricorn sign also represents, it may not be the 10th house in your D9 chart, in your Navamsa chart based on what ascendant you have, but in terms of the Kalpurush Kundi it has gone 9 places. So what it means is that there may be higher gains if you show the personality of the Capricorn sign, which means if you're very dedicated, if you're very committed, if you're very disciplined in your approach to work, if you work on your approach to superiors at work, you try to have good relations with them and help them shine, then you may be able to get higher gains from your work. So the better your ability is to work with superiors, you work in a disciplined manner, you work in a structured manner, the nutrition will be higher, your ability to be able to grow your livelihood will be higher, your ability to get more money in the bank will also be higher. And you will see that if you have good relations with your superiors, they will also push your case so that you get higher remuneration, because the second house lord of the D1 chart is gone into the Capricorn sign in the D9 chart. However, at a final dissemination, also see which house it is actually placed in the D1 chart. Say for example, if the second house lord is placed in the 6th house of your D1 chart and now gone into the Capricorn sign in the D9 chart, it means that without having a dedicated and committed approach to service, serving others and serving your superiors at work, without keeping that mindset, you may not be able to grow. Now this is a tough thing, that I have to serve my superiors, but somewhere the karma is that maybe you shortchange the superiors in your earlier innings. So in this life, in this inning, you have been given the responsibility that unless you have a servant mindset, serving mindset, committed, disciplined, loyalty approach to superiors and to your work. It's not only to superiors that you have to bow down to them or you have to boot licking and all. It's not about that. It's about how you're able to work with them in tandem, follow orders with discipline and having a service mindset to your career and to your work also, not only to superiors, and through that you will be able to get a higher remuneration. You will also be able to get a higher role, better designation, and you will also be able to grow in your career when the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Capricorn sign in the D9 chart in the Navamsa chart. Now when the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Aquarius sign in the D9 chart, so here the zodiac is telling you that in your finest dissemination, the zodiac is almost promising you that if you have a mindset of masses, for the masses, you have something that you want to do for the masses or for a cause, some cause is strongly appealing to you and you want to go in that direction, you want to go on the trajectory, then you may get higher success, where your mindset is, I want to do something, I want to be able to make a difference to a large number of people. If you have that kind of mindset, and it's important for you also to be able to work for larger causes or larger organizations, then you may be able to get a higher remuneration or higher livelihood also when the second house lord of the D1 chart gets into the Aquarius sign, and with something where you're thinking of giving back to society. If you're working in a role where you're only thinking of your livelihood or your remuneration, without thinking of a cause, without thinking of something that you're doing for others, for society at large, you're not able to make good connections, social connections in your social network, grow your social network, work for large organizations and causes, then higher remuneration may not come to you, higher money, higher incentives may not come to you as well. Now also see where your second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in which house, then connect to its placement in the Aquarius sign. So if say for example it is placed in the 7th house in the D1 chart, which means in your ability to work for social causes or large organization, you will also have to take care of relationships, partnerships. So in your ability to be able to deliver more for masses or for social causes or for a large causes or working for a large organization, you will have to be a team player. You will have to be able to work in a partnership or partner with others to be able to get that goal getting the goal, or your ability to be able to get the goal or to be able to move in that direction. What social cause you are working for, or what large organization you are working for. If you are able to do that, then higher success will come to you. High remuneration may also come to you, better growth may also come to you. Now if the second house lord of the D1 chart is placed in the Pisces sign in the D9 chart, what does this mean? It means that in its finest dissemination, your remuneration, your livelihood, your ability to be able to get nutrition for self and provide nutrition to others will only come when you are more creative, when you are more imaginative. Maybe sometimes you may also have to move away from the place of your birth. Even go to foreign lands, work with foreign companies, work with foreign consultants as well. Only then you may be able to get a higher remuneration, or your ability to get a higher remuneration or better livelihood or any livelihood will be connected to. This also means that many times you may have to do more for others, give more in your career, give more in your responsibilities, and then get less. Or on the other hand, maybe you may be getting a fair deal, but in your heart of hearts, you may never get the feeling that I am getting according to the effort that I am putting in, the amount of contribution that I am putting in my work. I am not able to get that. So either the feeling is there, but many times it is actually true that with second house lord in the Pisces sign, for many people I have seen, they never get to the extent that their efforts they have been able to put in, they have been able to contribute. But this also means that the nutrition that they are getting is in some way also getting accumulated for better karma. So they are accumulating better karma. Those brownie points are getting collected even at the cost of not being able to get the material resources in hand. So many times, even when you think you are being short changed a little bit, don't worry so much about it, because the zodiac is promising better karma for you, the better innings for you in the hereafter. So the second house lord in Pisces sign in the Navamsa, do see where the second house lord is placed in the D1 chart. If the second house lord is placed in the D1 chart in the 10th house, for example, and now gone in the Pisces sign in the Navamsa, then the stronger chances that your better remuneration, your nutrition will some way or the other, directly or indirectly, get connected to foreigners, foreign clients, foreign companies, MNCs, or even being abroad. So somewhere or the other, or your education may be connected to abroad, or you may also have a partner or partnership, or your responsibilities get connected, or indirectly you work for an organization which is ultimately getting connected to foreigners. So that kind of a connection you will be able to see when the second house lord is placed, say for example in the 10th house in your D1 chart, but placed in the Pisces sign in the D9 chart. So friends, now that we have discussed how the second house lord's placement in its finest dissemination in the D9 chart in the Navamsa will throw up different possibilities for you, higher probabilities for you. Do see in which house your second house lord is placed in your D1 chart, and then which sign it goes into the D9 chart, and then be able to connect them together to understand where the high probability for getting a higher remuneration is coming, especially in today's world where material resources are important, higher livelihood is important, more money coming in is important, having some money in the bank is also important. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the link given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off.